I should not have screamed in terror that fine day. Saw that purple wig and did not know what to say. It left me sort of startled and confused. Red lips and white makeup and those big old red shoes. But my daddy tore a knot in me for being so damn rude. He said, son, don't you know that clowns are people too? Clowns are people too. Big red shoes. Clowns are people too. Don't be rude. If you weren't a bit lucky, then this could easily be you. I met your mom when she was up on that old trapeze. What can I say, but hey, I had a thing for circus freaks. I started watching Bozo and warmed to the movie It. Killer Clowns from Outer Space to me was a big hit. Some people like McDonald's because of Mayor McCheese, but Ronald is my homeboy now, and Krusty and Pinky. Clowns are people too. Big red shoes. Clowns are people too. Don't be rude. If you weren't a bit lucky, then this could easily be you. I met your mom when she was up on that old trapeze. What can I say, but hey, I had a thing for circus freaks. Clowns are people too. Clowns are people too. Now I own some tiny horns and got me those red shoes. I don't know much, but know one thing that's true. If you don't know anything, just know that clowns are people too.
Welcome to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, part of the Chief Sports Network.
Mad Dog's upstate raised and reared up near the tater patch. He flirted with that upstate team, now bleeds garnet and black. It's been almost 2 decades since JC started Big Spur. He may live outside of Chicago, but he's all Spartanburg. It's the show, the Gamecock Show. ITG, Phil and JC, it's the show. It's fun and entertainment, but also information, things you cannot get on radio. It's the show. Gather around, all you Gamecocks, it's the show. The show. Let's go. JC and Mad Dog Mully on the Gamecock Show.
Welcome in, everybody, inside the Gamecocks, the show. It is Phil, Mad Dog Mullinax, here with you to get things kicked off. We got a best of about to roll with you today. We've had 3 banging head coaching interviews from around the Gamecocks athletics facilities, and Coach Beamer, Ashley Chastain-Woodard, whose softball team hits the diamond tonight for the first time this season in her inaugural season as head coach of the Gamecocks softball team. And of course, Coach Paul Mainieri yesterday. If you missed it, it was a very candid and great interview. All 3 of the head coaches have offered some extremely honest opinions about their teams and where they stand. Coach Beamer postseason moving into the spring, and coaches Chastain and Mainieri on their squads, and both actually of their first seasons as Gamecocks head coaches. So, without any further ado, we appreciate everybody, and we will see you live back, Mad Dog and JC, tomorrow on the show. Enjoy the coaches.
Well, Ashley Chastain-Woodard, first and foremost, congratulations on getting married in the off season. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing wonderful. It's been an awesome last half year, 6 months, and then obviously getting married in November. It's been amazing. So, yeah, the whole name change. People have been like, "What name are you going by now?" So that's been an adjustment, like getting back into the swing of things for sure. But I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Absolutely. It is great to see you. I know I had to I guess I think it updated my, like when you and I were texting the other day, it suggested the update and I was like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right." I'm glad now that that's what like you can update birthdays, you can update names, you can do all the things so you remember everything about everybody. Thankfully, for these little devices we keep in our pocket. You'll meet with more media tomorrow, but and a lot of those folks are my friends, so I apologize to all those losers. I got you first, and we're excited to have you on. And I know you're excited for year one, and I know we got to get you out of here in about 20 minutes or so. But so being in year one at South Carolina, in the most difficult league in the country, and we'll get more into that here in just a little bit. Goals change as the year goes along generally, right? But what are the initial goals for you as you start the season?
Well, I think the original goal when we took over the team, was just to be able to instill some belief in the players that, we have everything we need here to be a championship program. And I think that's the mission we've been on through the fall. And as we've kicked off preseason here, I think that starting to see that some from them, just their confidence rising, their belief rising, just what they think we can do together. We have everything that we need internally to have a really great season. And, I think that, we have a heavy focus on just the conference play. Every game of our really long season, as you know, is extremely important when it comes down to decisions that are made at the end of the season and regionals and hosting and championships and all those things. But, I think overall just elevating the program within the SEC is a massive focus for us, and just, being more competitive in the league and, just instilling that belief in the program. So, that's been a huge focus of ours. And we start 2 weeks from today, actually. I don't even really know what day it is, because we're in the preseason grind of like kind of Groundhog Day every day, full practices, all those things. But I did realize it's Thursday and we are 2 weeks away. So really excited for that.
Thursday, February the 6th, the Gamecock Invitational. Yep. You've got Virginia up first over at the ballpark there in Columbia. Real quick here too, they don't have to wait that long if they don't want to. Fans, they actually can come see you on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about that real quick?
Yeah. We have a season opening celebration dinner on Saturday evening. Doors open at 5, and it's kind of a social hour from 5 to 6. Miss Cocky Boutique will be there. Cocky himself will be there. We've got autograph signings for the team and just photo opportunities and kind of a social mingle. And then dinner's at 6, and we have a whole program scheduled starting at 6:30. We'll be over by 8 o'clock. And, you'll hear from members of the team. You'll hear from me, just hear about the season, preview the season, and just really celebrate the team. I'm so proud of the work that they've been doing, and, just want, the fans and the families to be able to interact with them here as a celebration of getting kicked off into our long season through the spring. So that's this Saturday at 6. There's still tickets available. You can get those online. We also launched our Diamond Club in December. So if you become a Diamond Club member, at a certain level, you get free tickets for Saturday, or you get discounted tickets for Saturday to be any sort of member. So really excited about that. It's a wonderful opportunity for our program and our fans to directly support us and be very involved in the program. So we've had wonderful support just in the past 30 days in that campaign, and really looking forward just to the excitement of the Diamond Club as we move forward.
Yeah, that Diamond Club, I want to tell everybody, if you go to Gamecocks Online and go to the softball page, you've got memberships from just $150 up to $3,000. But for instance, if you chip in $350, which is you'd be a double diamond member, that gives you 2 VIP cards, and that provides entrance to every game.
Yes.
General admin, which is awesome. $150 gives you admission to every game, 1 VIP card, but $350 for 2 of you to go to every game this season or have access to every game and give them away or whatever you want to do. That's a steal, to be honest. Hell, the $1,000 is a steal because you get 4 of them. You take your family to every ball game if you want to go support South Carolina softball. And so Gamecocks Online has all of that stuff. It is a great program. I'm so glad you launched it, and I'm so glad that it's going well. And they'll get to watch a new team. What's the process been like putting this team together? Because you come in, you have to evaluate what you've got. You're recruiting the high school ranks, then you're recruiting the transfer portal. What has that process been like?
It's been high speed, high volume is kind of how I've described it. Jody Davidson leads our recruiting efforts, but everyone on staff has, input and involvement in recruiting. And it's been a lot. We've gone coast to coast for the past 6 months and, are always building the future. So we're always building the incoming freshmen and just who we really foresee helping us take the program to the next phase, next step in the future. And then, getting to know who's coming into the program next fall, who we signed in November, and just evaluating those families and those players. And we signed 4 kids in November, the November period of signing. And, just transparently looking forward, we're going to have a lot of transfers on the team this upcoming summer. So that's been a heavy focus of ours, is just preparing ourselves for that, because the transfer window doesn't open until June. But just anticipation that we're going to be really active in the transfer portal, just bringing in players with experience from other places that are looking for a new experience and a new home here at Carolina, and really players that we think can really take us to the next level. Will be a huge focus of ours. So I think there'll be a lot of new faces in the program over the next few years, and just transparency. The roster is going to get bigger. But personally, I have appreciated and really enjoyed this team and everyone that's on this team, because, the players that were here, they could have chosen to leave, they chose to stay. And, just the commitment to the school and the program means a lot to me, especially as an alumni. And, then just the excitement of bringing in all of the players that we brought in through the summer, and then integrating our true freshmen that were, coming into campus last August. So it's been great just kind of meshing everyone together and creating the cohesion and the chemistry needed to be really successful. So I love this team, and I'm really excited to see them compete here in 2 weeks. It'll be nice to not inter-squad or scrimmage each other for once.
That stuff gets old in a hurry, doesn't it?
Yes.
All right. So speaking of the players, tell us about your players. We'll start with a position you know quite well as a former pitcher yourself. So let's start with the staff. Tell us about those ladies.
Yeah, we've got 5 arms, and they've all made tremendous gains and growth over the last semester. So, we're just in the middle of ramping them up. We went into a winter phase where they trained a lot on their own through December. We had a couple that went into Chicago and trained at a facility called OGX with their people in the winter, who we partner with pitching wise. They do a lot of our pitching development and consultation. So they worked really hard. And right now, ramping them up for the start of season is kind of the mode that we're in, but really excited about all 5 of them. From a ball flight standpoint, they've all got different stuff. So, some throw down, some throw up, some sweep away. We've got a lot of off speed to choose from on staff. And I think if you follow us all season, my anticipation is that we're going to really staff a lot of games. We'll have a lot of openers, a lot of bridges, a lot of closers, really play to the matchup of our opponents. So I think that we will spread innings out. I think, you'll come to the ballpark and, maybe not be able to anticipate who's going to be opening or bridging the game to our closer, whatever the situation is, because it is very much a staff effort. So that's kind of our anticipation with the staff going into season. And I think that way, if you spread the innings out, especially early on, you save, who emerges to be your ace in year 1 and year 2, you save a lot of their innings for later in the year. They stay healthy longer, they're fresher longer into the year, which is really important because we do play a lot of games. So we want them to be feeling really good in April and May, at the back end of conference play. So, but yeah, really excited about all of them. A lot of experience on the mound, a lot of success, even other places in the circle for us. So they've kind of thrived as a position group. The 5 of them are really tight knit. They support each other really well, and they've all gotten a lot better since August.
So, which is interesting because, sometimes for those that are maybe fringe or casual softball fans, they'll turn on a game to watch, Oklahoma or whoever's on TV, and they'll see the same arm out there over and over. And you're like, do they use anybody else? That's not what it sounds like here. I mean, you've got 5 that you're going to go with, but this is very much maybe even a little bit on the baseball side of things. Like we're going to kind of piece some things together and figure out the best roles. And then at the end of the year, hopefully we'll be humming and go with it.
Yeah. I think the staff mentality, the matchup mentality is pretty progressive in our game, but I do think that there are a lot of really successful programs that are moving into that space. We just have more information than we've ever had from a data collection standpoint, from an opponent standpoint, and also from health and wellness of pitching underhanded. We have more information now than we've ever had. So,
yep.
The days where you see the same person throwing, 300, 350 innings on the year, I think our game is evolving out of that space because I think the game is so good now that you need multiple people for matchup scenarios. So I would say we're pretty progressive, in that thought process. And that's where we like to be. So yeah, definitely going to take the staff mentality, especially to start the year, because softball, we do the preseason tournaments where we bring in multiple opponents and we play 4, 5, 6 games in a matter of 3-4 days. So it's a lot of volume. It's too much volume for 1 or 2 arms early in the year.
Yep. Y'all got 3 straight tournaments to open the season for those that this is pretty, it happens every year. Carolina always has a bunch of tournaments to get going. All right. So who's going to help them? If you want to, how about this? We'll start in the outfield and then you can work your way in from there. Educate the audience on who will be playing and what the lineup, what type of a lineup is this offensively? What is the identity of this team?
Yeah, I think it's dynamic. I think there's some power, from Ari Rhodey, who will be our first baseman this year. We'll start there. She's emerged as our starter at first. Yeah, she was an All-American last year, played for me previously, and just has big time power at the plate. And that's really valuable when you have runners in scoring positions. With one opportunity, you can score multiple runs at any time. So, we're trying not to put the weight of our offense on her shoulders and really be well-versed and dynamic all the way through the order, which I think is real success over a course of an entire season. Like you need speed, you need action plays, you need people that can steal bags. You need just a lot of, versatility through the order with some power, sprinkled in. And so Rhodey's, massive power for us. Brooke Blankenship is our shortstop. She's, a senior. This is her last campaign, and she's had just a tremendous offseason, playing really well both sides of the ball. I think she could be someone that's on base a lot. She's a righty that hits to all fields, and she runs the base as well. She's just a really gritty player that I think will contribute a lot, and I think is playing the best that she's ever played in her career right now. So really excited about her and just the leadership and wisdom that she has brought to our team from her experiences. So she'll be someone that's, probably in front of Rhodey. We just got to put people around our power, to be able to protect them and, be able to put people on base for them. And we've got some speed. I mean, we've got some kids that I think you'll see maybe come into the lineup to pinch run for a starter, upgrade speed. And then in softball, like, it's a little bit different substitution rules than in baseball. So you have a free sub on all the starters. So if a starter comes out, you can re-enter them once. They're not automatically burned. So that just provides a lot of options for a defensive player, a defensive outfielder. Maybe it's a defensive decision in the middle of the game to upgrade an outfielder. Mm-hmm. And then when that spot comes back up in the order, you can decide what you're going to do with that spot. So it's a little different of a substitution feel, softball versus baseball, which we like. So really excited about Brooke Blankenship. Ella Chansey has evolved as our third baseman. She's got 3 wonderful years of experience at third. She's a veteran player. Quincy Lelio is our Oklahoma transfer. She's profiling right now to be our center fielder. We've kind of really put a lot of emphasis on her in center over the last specifically preseason weeks that we've been practicing. She could profile, I think we're thinking our leadoff hitter. Q is really versatile. She can slap, she can bunch, she can hit away. Like, she can just do a lot of things. And so having someone so diverse and dynamic in the leadoff, I think is just kind of a really good feel. It's a really good table setter. So really excited about her in center and as our potential leadoff. Carly Shelton. I have to talk about Carly Shelton. I'm going through the order in my head. Carly Shelton was a freshman last year, was kind of in and out of the lineup, didn't play a ton throughout the course of the entire season. She is so rock solid right now for us. She's playing really well. She's a lefty power hitter. She's really learned to hit the ball off fields. So, as a lefty power hitter, she can go backside. She can pull a ball with power. I mean, she's just really excelled and thrived under our offensive leadership with Katie Browder. So really excited about Carly Shelton, and she's a second baseman, and she'll play second base for us, and just kind of a field rat. She's the one that you show up to the yard and you always see on the field, working hard, doing something. So really excited about those guys. And, I think last player I'll mention is Lexi Winters. She's a Lexington hometown hero, always wanted to be a Gamecock, grew up a Gamecock, one of the best receiving catchers in the country, which is so invaluable to be able to really control the strike zone like she does. And she is, going to catch a lot for us, and just really excited about her behind the plate, and just the passion that she has to be a Gamecock and to be a part of our program is really special. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You love hearing stories like that.
Yeah.
So you've got, this is wild, right? This league. And now Oklahoma and Texas are here, and I don't know if I need to remind anybody about those two programs. Texas is the preseason #1 program in the country. Oklahoma is preseason #3. Oh, but wait, the Sooners have won 4 straight national championships in that stretch. This is bonkers. This is going to blow everybody's minds, because I doubt anybody has actually looked at this. I know you know it, but most people don't. In the stretch that Oklahoma's in right now, they are, in the last 4 years, they are 235-15. 235-15. And they've played in 7 of the last 8 national championships. They've won 6 of them overall. And then you've got all these great, LSU and Tennessee, you know them all, but maybe some people don't, Alabama, et cetera, et cetera. What do you draw from those programs? Do you draw anything from those programs that you can implement here at South Carolina that maybe starts getting you into that conversation with guys, with programs like that?
Yeah, Oklahoma is an absolute dynasty in our game right now, and just so much respect for Coach Gasso and her whole staff for what they've built and what they're doing. And now obviously coming into the SEC as an opponent, I just have a lot of respect for her and her staff. And, that stuff just doesn't happen. That is years and years and years of the right people, the right players, the right systems. And, I have to believe that it's very detail oriented. It's very process driven. It's high accountability. It's, excellence every day in everything that you do, which is, those are all concepts that we have instilled in our program since we walked through the door in the summer. So it's like I said, I mean, they didn't become the program that they are overnight. That's years and years of investment from the right people. But it's a model, it's a model that has worked for them, and there's a lot that can be taken from it. But for us, like details and discipline and accountability and, just wanting to be really great at everything you do every day is really important. And, I think that if I was to ask, a program like Oklahoma, I mean, I have to believe that those things are, really bled into their program every day. So those are the things we've been trying to do here. And I think, when you get an opportunity to compete against really high level competition, like a Texas, a Tennessee, and Oklahoma, and all of our SEC foes, which we love the competition so much, you have to see it as an opportunity to get better. If we want to be on the big stage in the biggest atmospheres of college softball, you don't get there without first playing those opponents and then giving yourself a chance to compete and win those games. If you're never in those opportunities, you're never going to get where you want to go. And so I think it's just a total perspective shift and a mindset that's where we want to be. We want to be in those moments, and you have to coach your players to be able to handle that pressure and take the right mindset into those opportunities. But it's an opportunity for us to grow our own program to be able to play such high level competition. And then one day become an opponent that people talk about, like Texas and like Oklahoma coming to the SEC. That's the ultimate goal, is that we become an opponent that people highly respect, and they're like, man, like we're gonna have to play our best to beat South Carolina. And that's why we're here. That's what we do, and that drives us every day. So just in the middle of really implementing the process and the system with the right people and players to make that our reality here at South Carolina is I think where we're at.
Ashley, I hope you're still there in about 12 or 13 years. I can send my daughters to play for you, because that's who they need to play for. I know we've got to get you out of here. By the way, to Ashley's point, for anybody wondering, oh man, the SEC is so difficult. Gosh, Ashley said, it's not hard enough. Well, why don't we schedule Duke and Texas Tech as well? They're both in the top 10. But you mentioned it, challenge them, and they're going to get that challenge. Mm-hmm. I'm going to end it with this, because I know you got to go to the airport, but I laughed when I saw your face on I didn't send you a message or anything. I told you from day one, I like to stay out of the way, but I laughed when I saw your face on the Jumbotron as you and Coach Mainieri exited the Cockaboose to, I think it was the Missouri game, the football game this year. Y'all were the celebrity starters. And Coach Mainieri, of course, had the mic first. And when he said, let's open up a can of whoop ass on these boys tonight, the look on your face, because I was laughing at Coach Mainieri. I thought, I didn't see that coming. And then you were, what did you think when he said that? Did that throw you off? Did it rattle you?
I have had the absolute privilege of doing many things with Coach Mainieri since I've been here at Carolina and since he got hired. We've done a lot of Gamecock Club, events over the past 6 months. And let me just first say, he is just awesome, and he's just such a good guy. And I've so enjoyed getting to know him and having these opportunities to interact with him. And so when we found out that we were the celebrity starter and we were doing that together and coming out of the Cockaboose, we laughed so hard, and we were like waiting to get in the Cockaboose and go out on the field. And he mentioned to me, he was like, I think I'm going to say this, and I in my mind, I was like, go for it. It'll rally the crowd, it'll be awesome. And then when he actually said it, I just was like, wow, he actually really said that he's awesome, But yeah, he's just a great guy, and I'm so excited to support baseball this year and just see what they do. And obviously, he's got legendary coach, iconic baseball coach, will go down as one of the best in history of baseball, and just really excited to see him lead the program. And it's been a pleasure, just being around him at different things the last 6 months. But that was an opportunity, and just a memory that I'll probably never forget, is that I was on the field with him when Coach Mainieri said what he said to the crowd.
Dude, that was so funny. Well, everything you just said, though, it's all back at you, because, we've spoken to Shane about your hiring, and Coach Mainieri And, we've talked to Coach Tanner about this. You've got massive support across the University of South Carolina. I think you know that. But just coming from our end, these guys say the same thing to us behind closed doors that they do in front of a camera about how excited they are for you in this softball program. And we can't wait to watch you play. We'll get you back soon, and we'll maybe talk a little bit more once we see how it's playing out on the field and stuff like that. But I know you got to get to the airport. Thank you for your time, Ashley Woodard. Congratulations on getting married and all that stuff. And we can't wait to watch you play here in a couple of weeks.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate always coming on the show and looking forward to it throughout the spring. And also looking forward to seeing everyone at Beckham Field here coming up soon.
Yep, and we'll continue to push this thing on Saturday as well. Reach out anytime you need something. We'll get it out there for you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ashley. See you.
Thank you. Bye.
There you go, Ashley Chastain-Woodard. Ashley Woodard. She married Robert Woodard, who pitched at the University of North Carolina. He's the head baseball coach up at Charlotte, and they're newly married and just running up and down I-77 to support one another. So congratulations to her. And can't wait to watch this softball team get out there on the field here in just a couple of weeks. We're 2 weeks from first pitch for the Gamecocks.
Hey, this is Cornbread Cowboy, and you're listening to the show. We'll be right back.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting: hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more. Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, and Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products and out-of-state locations. Go Gamecocks! Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com, thebarndominiumco.com.
It is Shane Beamer, the head football coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. It is National Championship Monday. It is Inauguration Day. It is MLK Day. Coach is here. Did I miss anything? Because this is a hell of a day for us to decide to kick this thing off. People are. What else is going on today? Is there something else? Winter weather update day? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're talking to me.
No. I'm asking you. Did I miss anything? Because we decided to start this today, and I was like, wait a second.
It's a new week of recruiting, so trying to figure out travel plans with incoming weather and school delays and closures. So that's a challenge. So yeah, that's what it is as well.
Dude, yeah, it's and everybody's off. So when we were setting this up last week, and I have to say this, and I know that you'll agree wholeheartedly, the best SID in the country resides in Columbia, South Carolina. That is none other than the great Steve, or Coach Fink, as a lot of people like to call him. But he was, hey man, we're not going to be there, so you got to get the links to me. He wants it all right. He's scared to death you weren't going to be able to pull up a link and just click the audio and the video button.
I know, obviously. But you know what I had to do though? I was like, you're right about Steve, and I told Steve I'm worried about this because nobody's going to be in the office to set it up because it's a holiday. But I was actually smart enough when I clicked on it, I had to copy and paste and go to Safari and paste it in there and then open it up in Safari as well. So I took a big step today technologically myself.
Safari still works. I haven't used that in years.
Yeah.
Man. Well, man, good to see you. How's your family doing? Happy New
Everybody's
Year.
good. Appreciate you asking. New Year's off to a good start, and everyone's doing well. Hope everything's good on your end as well.
Yeah, they're good, man. They're good. Now, of course, off today, and then they'll be off for 3 or 4 days because of the chance of ice. So we'll begin to get a little crazy in this household. But well, so here we are. You know, the season is now almost completely over for college football. Tonight they'll play the final game, and y'all haven't played in about 3 weeks. So now that you've had a chance to digest it, looking back on the previous 4 months of football, give me a description of this year's version of South Carolina.
Resilient for sure. Just really, really proud of our players and just how close they were, how connected that team was in 2024. Very, driven to have the season that we had. Didn't get off to the start that we wanted when we're sitting there at 3-3 with 2 heartbreaking losses by a total of 5 points, and then just the leadership and the togetherness to come together and win 6 in a row. To finish the season. And that doesn't happen unless you've got great leadership and great people in your program. And that's exactly what we had.
On that note, I don't know if you remember this or not. After the Ole Miss game, you and I connected just for a brief moment. And you told me, man, we had an incredible week of practice. I know you were incredibly disappointed with the performance, but you said something. You said, I'll get it right. And then y'all went to Tuscaloosa and probably should have won the game, almost won the game. Not many people take the Tide to the brink of a loss on their home field, as you know. And then after that, you didn't lose again. Mm-hmm. So coming out of that game, what did you feel like wasn't right or wasn't going in the right direction? And what did you do to change it?
Certainly you look at some of those games and didn't play great football, didn't coach great football, particularly in the Ole Miss game. But I also think you realize it's a long season, and coming out of Ole Miss, I was aware that, we had a quarterback that was going to continue to get better, but was still very, very, very inexperienced at that point. We played Old Dominion. The Kentucky game, talking about Lenoris, the Kentucky game, there was a period during that game where he got knocked out from an injury standpoint. So he didn't play the complete game against Kentucky. Then what we have after that, LSU, he didn't play the second half. Akron was the next game. He didn't play at all. So really Ole Miss was the first SEC game that he played from start to finish as well. Not to mention, that's a really, really good defense Ole Miss had last season that we were going up against. And we had our opportunities and certainly some, decisions I'd like to have back and some plays that we'd like to have back. But I don't think it was anything big, just, completely blow it up and do something different after the Ole Miss game. It was just understanding, guys, it's the way you practice during the week, it gives you the opportunity to now go play well and hopefully win the game. But now you got to go do the things in the game that it takes to win. And that's not, playing losing football, not having dumb penalties and not turning the ball over and not getting sacked and not busting coverages and had a little bit of all that in some of those losses. And our team was very driven to finish the season the way we did. But one thing I told the leaders on the team was that's great that you want to win the rest of these games, but we've got to start, we got to perform better. And to see old expression, you can't win games until you learn how not to lose them or whatnot. And, we just continued to get better and played cleaner football down the stretch.
Yeah. The Lenoris note, I think, is so important, right? When you look at everything you just said is so true. If people put themselves in the minds of any college athlete, especially a quarterback or a starting pitcher or a point guard or somebody that is going to be valuable to the overall success of the team. And there's inconsistency in how much they're playing, not inconsistency in play. That's going to happen, right? But if you're not out there all the time, especially when you're young. Yeah. So like on that note, if you go back to Old Dominion and then you go to the end of the season with Lenoris, explain that I mean, it's the whole season. So, but his growth, like in your eyes and in your coach's eyes, Coach Loggins and Coach Shula and everybody else, what was that progression like? Like, how was he a different player in week 12 from week 1?
Yeah, I think just that, like you just said, he continued to become more and more comfortable and confident with everything that we were doing. And he was a first-time starter. Yes, he played in 3 games last year or 4 games in 2023, whatever it was, but he's still a freshman last year, and he's still a freshman this year, essentially, playing in the toughest conference in America. And we knew that he would continue to get better as the year went, and that's what exactly, what he did. I think, schematically, it wasn't like we did a bunch of new stuff every week. We did basically the same concepts in the run game and pass game, essentially week to week, and just dressed it up each week with formations, personnel groupings, motion, whatever it might be. And then the other thing too, that I think I mentioned this before the season some, but that receiving core, there was a lot of newness to that as well. And when it comes to a quarterback, you better have that compatibility connection with those receivers. And, we had 3 receivers that were in our rotation this year that weren't even a part of spring practice with Lenoris, and that being Dale Von Campbell and Vandravius Jacobs, who they didn't transfer to us until after spring practice. They didn't get here until June. And then Nick Harbor was doing track last spring. So those are 3 of your top, 6 receivers, 7 receivers that weren't here during spring practice. And it takes some time just to develop that connection and rapport. And the offensive line, we had some newness there as well. And we've certainly got to be better because we're going to have the same issue this upcoming season with a lot of new faces also. But I think it's just one of those, you're playing in the toughest conference in America. And we had the opportunity to win games in the first half of the season. And we just couldn't quite get over the hump, but we just all continued to get better, not just Lenoris, but the entire football team and coaching staff.
Dude, the ball that he threw to Campbell in the bowl game, that ball was in the air for like 70 yards. Yeah. Like, how far have you seen him actually throw the football in the air? Can he throw it further than that?
He can throw. I don't want to say that's his max, and then he gets mad at me. But no, you're right. He's immensely talented and will just continue to get better. Coach Shula did an awesome job with him, working with him. And Mike's a guy that's played the quarterback position and helped Lenoris throughout the year, and he'll continue to help him has continued to get better as we go into 2025.
Yeah. What's the comparison and the compare and contrast version of Coach Shula and Coach Loggins? Like, is there anything there? Is there any way to explain that? Is it more of the same? What is it?
Yeah, great question. It's hard to say. I think they're both good people and both really knowledgeable coaches. Their backgrounds in the NFL, and I thought Dow and our offensive staff did a nice job this past season of really with the run game we were different in the run game this season than what we were in 2023. That obviously Norris is more of a running threat than Spencer is as well. So we had some more quarterback design runs, and they did a good job from that standpoint. And Mike throughout the season did a great job. He was in every single quarterback meeting with Dow and the rest of the quarterbacks. And Mike, as people know, was the guy on the sidelines that was in Lenoris's ear and watching the iPads between series. And when we hired Mike last season or earlier this year, I was, intrigued and interested in him for a lot of reasons, personally, professionally, but most recently, just the fact that he had worked with Cam Newton, Daniel Jones, and Josh Allen, all big athletic quarterbacks that can use their legs as well as their arm. And we were able to implement some of that. And then the fact that, I think Mike, the fact that he played quarterback in the SEC, so he's been in Lenoris's shoes as well, is a great connection to have. So those guys work together, and I think there's a lot of similarities, but certainly differences in personality. And we'll implement, things that are best for the 2025 offense with Mike at the head of it here going forward.
When you went on the road this year, y'all were 4-1. Again, could have, should have, maybe been 5-0 with the 2-point loss in Tuscaloosa. I don't know if you have even looked at the numbers or not, but you outscored your opponents on their home field 136-63.
Wow.
And that's an average of the average margin of victory, 27-13 would be what that would be on the road. Second best record in the league to Texas, who only played 4 true road games because they have to play that stupid Cotton Bowl game every year, But in the past few years, I know you had some moments after tough road losses where you're like, I don't know what's going on. Almost, we're just not getting off on the right foot. You had some road wins. I mean, you did beat Clemson up there in 2022. You like coaching in that ballpark. But did anything did you make any adjustments to this year when you travel or anything like that?
Yeah, great question. I knew we were good on the road. I didn't know we were quite that good.
Dominant.
There's nothing like, being on the road and the game is in hand and you're sitting there in the opposing team stadium and it's starting to empty and the only people there are the Garnet and Black that made the trip, and then going in a visiting team locker room and celebrating and getting on that plane or bus. I mean, Williams-Brice is awesome, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's just it's a special thing being able to go on the road. And I think it's a culmination of things. You're right. You go back to 2021, my first year, we won on the road at East Carolina, but we went down 14-0. We were down 7-0 on the first play of the game. We went to Georgia and, we battled for a half. But then we had 2 road games that year, Texas A&M and Tennessee, where we just got ambushed in the first quarter. And, one thing going back to 2022, one thing we started doing a little bit differently is most teams, when they travel, they get on the plane, they fly where they're going, they land, they go to the hotel, and that's it. And that's pretty much all we had ever done anywhere that I've ever coached. But we just started on Fridays. We just get there a little bit early and we go to the visiting team stadium. We don't really do anything. We literally just walk around for about 10 minutes. But I think I know our players like it. I think that's been good for us, just being able to kind of get the wow factor out of their system. And because some of these stadiums you walk into the SEC, if it's your first time in this league or first time going into that stadium, I mean, there's a wow factor when you walk in there, Williams-Brice included. So let's get that out of the system. Let's let you figure out where your locker is, where the bathroom is, how to get to the locker room from the field, or how to get to the field from the locker room. So we started doing that in 2022, and we've been a little bit better on the road each year. And then I think this year just goes back again to we were a veteran team. You talk about the guys that were leaders on this year's team, Tonka and Boogie and Debo and guys like that, Rashawn Lee. It wasn't their first time going to Lexington, Kentucky, or it wasn't their first time going to Clemson, South Carolina. Now it was their first time going to Tuscaloosa and Norman, Oklahoma, but we had a veteran team that they thrived on that. They love going into other team stadiums. And I think when you travel, whether you go Thursday, Friday, whether you go to the stadium, you don't go to the stadium, whatever it is, just trying to keep your routine the same, but just have a veteran group that thrives in that environment. And that's what we had.
Well, a lot of those guys, as you just pointed out, were on defense. And before the season, Nick and Debo and these guys, Demetrius Knight, and of course back then a lot of people didn't know exactly who he was and exactly what he was going to do, but found out pretty quick. They were throwing words out like historic and wait and see, and all these things. Yeah. And you know how it is, Coach. You hear that stuff. You hear college kids say that, and you're like, all right, we'll see what happens. Yep. They weren't wrong, though. I mean, they obviously knew what they had, as you did coming into the year. So now you're in January and you're in winter workouts, and then before you know it, you'll be here in spring ball. And you look at this, you look at your defense, which was, by the standards of the University of South Carolina, historic. It was fantastic. Starting like with the secondary. I mean, Nick's going to go off to the NFL, but you've got plug and play guys in there. Evaluate that group this season, and then now that some of those guys are departing. Where are they here in early winter 2025?
Yeah. We lose a lot of really good players defensively. We lose a lot of leadership. You talk about the heart of your defense, losing your top 3 defensive tackles, 4 if you count DeAndre Jules, and then your top 3 inside linebackers and Bam and Debo and D Knight, and then a safety and Nicky Manwari. So we've got to replace a lot of really good players. We got to replace a lot of leadership on that team from last season, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. But when you bring back 3/5 of your secondary and DQ Smith and Judge and Jalen Kilgore, that gives you hope as well. And then we've got young guys that in the secondary that it's now time for them to take the next step and become a guy. Vakari Swain rotated quite a bit with Judge Collier during late in the season. We want to be able to rotate guys in the secondary. It's time for
he's fun to watch, man.
Yeah, no question. Vakari's electric, and Emery Floyd and Jalewis Solomon was a true freshman that it's time for him to take another step. And then we've brought in there's going to be a battle at safety at opposite DQ. Or really every position's up for, is a competition. But next to DQ, you got Gerald Kilgore and David Busey and Peyton Williams. And then we've brought in some help there in the secondary that has position flexibility at corner / nickel and whatnot. So, and then freshmen coming in. So it's Torian Gray. One thing about him is he can develop guys on the back end. Yep. And it's time to do that again, and excited about that group and for sure in the secondary. So as far as right now, they're off to a great start. We started workouts last week. Classes started on Monday, and we got right to work. So just finished week 1 in the weight room and off to a great start. And we as coaches, we got a couple more weeks on the road recruiting here in the month of January. And then we're able to really jump into workouts with the guys here in February when the coaches get off the road.
I don't know how you do it, man. This portal and all this stuff, you don't even know who you are until you get to August. What about the offense? I mean, you know what's coming, Coach. You've been coaching college football for 25 years. When you got a stud quarterback, you're going to get talked about for 8 months before you get to the season. I mean, hell, your boy Andy Staples has you in the top 10 here in January, so no expectations or anything like that. But what about that offense? Rocket and one of my favorite players I've seen in this program in a long time, Josh Simon. These guys, their leadership and their ability off to the NFL, and you got a bunch of guys in the offensive line, at least on the interior. But from a talent standpoint, knowing what you've brought out in from the portal, knowing what you return, starting with Lenoris, when you look at last year's group and what y'all been through, and then now in January looking forward, where do you think you are?
Yeah, I think certainly, arrow up for sure from an offense, and you're exactly right. If you look at those preseason rankings, they look at how did you finish the season, what was your record, does your quarterback return, okay, bam, you're automatically going to be good. And it's not that simple, obviously. And we talked about it last week as a team, just some of the projections last year for us we didn't listen to because most of them had us going 3-9. I saw one that had us last year predicted to go 1-7 in the SEC. There was an article last week in a local newspaper where we were predicted to go 10-2, and the same guy that wrote the article predicting us to go 10-2 this season also wrote an article literally last July saying, can South Carolina even be competitive in the new SEC? So things come at you fast. So it'll be important for our guys to not listen to anything and just keep our heads down and work. But offensively, when you have a quarterback, that gives you a chance, and we've got to replace a lot of production in Josh Simon. But excited about that opportunity. We lose Rocket, but we have really high expectations for Jawarn Howell at the running back position. He showed a little bit of that in the bowl game. Oscar Attaway returns. We've added from the portal as well. Matthew Fuller comes back at the receiving group. So many of those guys come back, and then this receiving class that we've recruited. Mike Furry's done an awesome job as our receivers coach for recruiting receivers. But these 6 receivers we have coming, I think we got a small glimpse of them during bowl practices when they were able to practice with us during the bowl back in December. And we have high expectations for that group as well. And then at the tight end position, we lose Josh, like I said, but being able to bring back Brady Hunt for another year, and Mike Smith, who's got a huge upside, and portal wise, bringing in Jordan Dingle from Kentucky and Mike Tyler from the high school recruiting class. And on the offensive line, when you bring back both tackles, who I think are really, really talented in Casey Henry and Josiah Thompson, that gives you a chance. And we lose a lot of production in the interior of our offensive line, just like the defensive line, losing Torricelli, Simpkins, Kamar Bell, and Vershawn Lee. But we knew that, and that was priority number 1 for us in the transfer portal, was to bolster the interior of the offensive line. And I think we've brought in some really talented players, and early signs after the first week in the weight room is that these guys are very, very professional and driven, like last year's crew was.
What do you carry, like 17 or 18 offensive linemen somewhere in there?
We try and be right at 17. Yeah, absolutely. And I think scholarship-wise, we're technically not even there still, just from a depth standpoint, because we saw what happened on the offensive line with injuries 2 years ago. So 17 is the number that we want to work off of, and like where we are right now, but you never have enough at that position.
What'd you think about the special teams unit this year, Coach? And I know that's your deal. You hired one of the best, Joe DeCamillis. I know there's probably some frustrating moments in there, but y'all certainly once again had some magical moments too.
Yeah, we did. There were certainly some frustrating moments, and made some big plays on special teams, but then also certainly some plays that we weren't at our best, and we'll be better with year 2 under Joe's leadership. And we've got to get better in the return game. There's no question about it. We just didn't make much happen, punt return or kickoff return this year as well. Kai Kroger, did a great job as our punter, and it's going to be very new. I mean, we're going to have a new long snapper, a new punt returner, a new kick returner, a new punter, and a new kicker next year as well. And so you're replacing all of that, and you may have to rely on a true freshman potentially as well. So that'll be a big challenge, but it's same, just like offense and defense, excited about the newness of it and the prospects that we have.
All right, I'm gonna get you out here in just a couple of minutes. I'm breaking my rule on making Whittle wait, but
Whittle will understand. He's taking notes on this right now anyway, probably. So
that's right. That's right. You're our version of David Cloninger today. You get the first question. I always wonder, how does DC get the first question every single time?
Yeah, he's slipping something on the side to think. I think,
dude, he's a magician with that stuff. All right, I have to, and if you want to avoid any of it, you just tell me to shut my mouth. But I have to go back to the bowl game and what happened on the field. But I'm going a little bit different. I'm not going to post a meme of you or something like that. Like some of that went viral, by the way. Some of these memes they had of you. All right, so because this does have to do with special teams, which is what we found out a little bit later. But so in the game, it's the third quarter. And after this game, when we were on the air, Coach, I was trying to put myself in your shoes to think how you would think in that moment, being in charge of 100 guys trying to win a football game and a huge ball game, everything that's on the line, 10 wins, et cetera, et cetera. So in that moment, y'all have been tackled on the defensive line. Nothing was called. There were jerseys that were stretched 2 and 3 feet. That's called holding, but they didn't feel like throwing the flag there. I'm saying this, you're not saying this. They faked injuries throughout the contest. We've seen that before, but it continued to happen. They played the clock with the substitutions, and it worked. It's legal, but all these things are frustrating. And then, y'all have some things on your side, right? Missed some throws that Lenore's generally hits. You had a fumble. You got the news about Nick. And then this moment happens where they actually have a legitimate injury on the sideline. And I'm watching you. I'm holding my daughter, by the way, who did say in that moment, she calls you Mr. Shane because she's heard me talk about you.
Yep.
So she said, Mr. Shane is mad at that boy. which was
She was right.
I said, I said, Mr. Shane's gonna be okay. But so I'm watching you, coach, and you go out of your way, you walk down the sideline, walk out on the field, check on the Illinois player. You don't have to do that. And you tap him on the helmet, you walk back to the sidelines. Coach Bielema takes his time to get across the field, almost like a baseball manager. I'm going to go talk to my pitcher, but I don't have anything to say. I'm just waiting until the umpire comes out so I can tell him the strike zone sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turns around and taunts you and your sideline, and then admits to it afterwards. But in the moment, where were you in the moment before that he even did that, and then after he did that? I know you didn't know exactly what it was all about at the time, but like after everything that had transpired in the game, where were you upstairs in this football game?
Yeah. Certainly frustrated with some things that had happened at that point as well. Some our own doing and some outside our control, to say the least.
Jeez.
And so there was some frustration at that point, which there's no question I need to be better about, not maybe showing that frustration as much. But at that point, I mean, I was in a good place. I felt like we had, something going and had a little bit of momentum, and we knew it was going to be a close game, a dogfight. They were a 9-win team that had 2 close losses and a blowout to Oregon. And we knew it was going to be a close game. And that's what bothered me at that point, was when he came over and did that, did this, but then gave me one of these as well, which I just took as a sign of disrespect towards our sideline, because I've never seen a coach do that. And I would have respected it a lot more if, while he's over there checking on his injured player, just come over there to me and say, hey man, what the heck? And tell me you got a problem with it. But it was the actions with his arms and then just turning and walking back across the sideline that bothered me. And it wasn't like I was going to run out there to midfield and we were going to like have a brawl at the 50-yard line. I mean, I wasn't like losing my mind from that standpoint, but really just, hey, what's your deal? And let's, if there's a problem, come talk to me about it. Don't do that. Because what we did was legal. And what we did, we cleared with the officials before the game. But I saw some of his comments after the game about, it's a safety issue and ethical, and I thought that was total bull crap. I mean, we, as a special teams coach, we've never told our players on a kickoff team to watch the returner, and if he puts his arms out, to quit running. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you play through the whistle. And
there you go.
And give credit to their guy. Like, he continued to play through the whistle, and heck, I was probably more frustrated because we blocked it like crap. And it's something we had been working on literally since probably the end of October, and we were going to run it against Clemson, but we just never got an opportunity to. So we had been working it throughout the month, and we didn't do a great job blocking it. I'm mad we got 26 yards out of it. That's probably what I was most frustrated about, because if we just block it like we're supposed to, it may freaking score. So I was frustrated about that. But you mentioned the baseball manager. Maybe, I don't know, I may have been a lot like a basketball coach that purposely gets the technical foul just to kind of motivate the team, and not that the team needed me to motivate them that way. But there's no question it electrified, our sideline, but certainly electrified the stadium as well. And it was disappointing, but I do appreciate this. So the amount of people that, because I didn't like the way it looked. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't, but I do appreciate the number of people that have either come up to me in public or texted me after the game or called me after the game saying what you did was right, man. I wasn't a Gamecock before, but I am now. And whether it be athletic directors across college athletics, or former coaches that are in the College Football Hall of Fame, or current coaches that were in the college football playoff this year, or Florida Gator fans or Tennessee Vol fans or whatever, which, I appreciate that. Wish it hadn't happened, but it is what it is. And I'm always going to have the backs of our players and our sideline. And I just thought that was, Bush League, what he did to our sideline. And I'm not telling you, I've told him the same thing after the game as well, but it's disappointing, but credit to them. They won the game, and and more motivation for us as we go into 2025.
Well, you see, you hit the nail on the head, because we talked about that on, at least on this program. I haven't heard it discussed anywhere else. You play through the whistle.
Yeah.
Number one, okay. If the whistle didn't, I don't give a crap. I mean, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. You play through the whistle, number one. Number two, if you're that concerned about injuries, then why are you running your guy back in the next play after he drops in the middle of the field?
Yeah.
I mean, none of this made any sense. And to your point, like, I did think, you know, who cares that you got heated? It's not like there's some history of Shane Beamer showing his ass every other ball game on the field. It head coaches and players, you have zero history of that.
Right.
So for you to get that heated, I think was alarming to a lot of people. Like, something happened here, and you were in the right. But I did want to ask about that, because to that point, there were so many frustrations in that game. And, you know, but at the end of the day, you're 9-4. You finish the season 9-4. And as we pointed out the other day, in the last, like, I don't know, 12 years or something, that's 2 more 9+ win seasons than Auburn.
You said
I said it. You didn't say that. I said that. Coach, you knocked on the door of the playoffs. Obviously, I probably should have been in there based on what you did this year, but you didn't get in. Final quick, kind of a two-parter, same question here. Your thoughts on the system now that we've seen it play out, and who do you like tonight? Obviously, Mitch is playing in the game tonight. I'm not sure if y'all spoken or not, but who do you like in the ball game?
Mitch, we haven't spoken. He actually texted me after one of our games this year, maybe after the Missouri game, I think. Missouri or Clemson won. He sent me a text message saying congratulations and how much it's fun we've been to watch. As far as the system, I like the system. I think we certainly, like a lot of people have said, we need to look at the buys. I don't understand a system where a team gets a bye and then is a double-digit underdog in their first game playing. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I'm not knocking Boise or Arizona State. They won their conferences, but a system where you get a bye but then become immediately a 2-touchdown or double-digit underdog, something's off with that. So how do we make that adjustment? And then as far as tonight goes, you know, it would be hard to pick against Ohio State the way they're playing in the playoffs right now. There's no question about it. They're playing really, really well in all three phases. But at the same time, the little bit that I've seen of Notre Dame, they're just a team that just finds a way to win, and they just hang around. They're a team that obviously has great belief in one another and Coach Freeman, and think a lot of him after playing him in the bowl game a couple years ago. So hopefully it's a great game. Always tough watching these games when you're not playing in them. As a competitor, you want to be there, and that's why I'll be in a high school early tomorrow morning working to bring in new Gamecocks, so we can be in that game here one day soon.
Didn't get a chance to catch up on Coach Tanner, but we'll do that down the road as he's celebrated over the next month and things like that. The guy who hired you, who's, I think, the best Gamecock ever.
Yep.
We'll talk about him somewhere else when we can get you back on. I did this again. I told Fink 20 minutes, and here we are, 35 minutes.
Yep.
So sorry about that, man.
I'll handle Fink. You just make sure John Whittle's not mad at me.
Yeah, I know. I don't know who's worse when they get upset. Hey, thanks for all that you do. Always appreciate your time. You know, I don't know if anybody knows this, but for over 4 years, anytime I've ever asked you, you always come on. We try to stay out of your way as much as we can, but it does mean a lot, and really appreciate what you do for all of us here, and certainly for the Gamecocks in the state of South Carolina, man. Give our best to Emily and all of your kids, and hopefully they get to enjoy some snow.
Yep, absolutely. Appreciate you and all you do, and best of luck with the new format, and keep up the great work.
Get the golf game going.
We're trying,
Get the golf
man.
game
It's
going,
almost
man.
time.
All right.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting: hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Hey Gamecock Nation, my name is Kyle, longtime listener of the show and avid golfer. I wanted to take my game to the next level, but let's face it, golf is a hard game to learn on your own. I heard the ad from McKellar Enterprises and reached out to the owner and former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. In just 2 months of working with Meredith, I shot my lowest round ever and I've never felt more confident in my golf game. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, go to McKellarEnterprises.org and book your lesson today with former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor. Go Gamecocks.
Think about that old ride of yours. The carpools, the road trips, the heavy hauls, date nights, and the dings and the dents and the sticky spills and cracker crumbs, and that smell that really never goes away. Do you really want to start the new year in the same old ride? Or is it time for a fresh start? Now's the time for incredible New Year's savings at Love Chevrolet on the entire lineup of award-winning vehicles. Love has more new Chevys on the lot than any other dealer in the Midlands, in the color, style, features you've been looking for. With New Year's savings and Love's famous low price guarantee, your new ride in 25 will be invigorating, exhilarating, and affordable too. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and online at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
When you bundle home and auto, good things can happen. You get a local agent who can help you choose the right coverage for you at a price that's right for you.
Call State Farm agent Tony Pope today.
Inside the Gamecocks, the morning show.
Okay.
This is Phil's doing, Coach. I didn't have anything to do with this.
I know where you live, Phil.
I couldn't resist, Coach. I related with the Mi Familia thing so much. So yeah, I appreciated it. Yeah. An homage, if you will. Thank you.
Oh man, it is so good to see you, Coach Mainieri, joining us here at the top of the 11 o'clock hour to talk about the 2025 South Carolina Gamecocks. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good. How are you, Jamie?
I'm good, man. So I surprised you a little bit here. 8 years ago on May 5th, there was a series going on down in Baton Rouge. Chad Holbrook and his Gamecocks came to town, and they threw this guy on the bump, Will Crow.
Remember Will?
Yeah.
That series didn't go too well for us, I don't believe.
I went back, Coach, and reminded myself of what happened in that that was a very strange series because Will threw 4 1/3 on Friday night. He went against Alex Lang, and Carolina scored 3 in the second off of Lang, but Lang threw a complete game and lost.
We ended up. Did we win the series? Who won the series? Well,
you won the series.
I think you won the series.
Game 3. Yeah. 10th inning, game 3. LSU walked off the box. What's it like in the box when a walk off happens?
Was that when the left fielder, what was his name, the left-handed thrower he gave up on the ball or something? I think Duplantis got a hit in the bottom of the 10th, and for some reason something freaky happened. He either didn't throw the ball home or he kicked it into the bullpen or something like that. I can't remember. Too many games.
Oh, would that have been Destino? Would he have been?
It was either Destino or probably Cortez, Carlos Cortez.
Cortez was the left fielder. And he did something. He didn't throw it or he held on to the ball too long.
I think it was like a pump fake.
I'd have to go back and remember. I forgot about that game. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what it was, Will. The ball, like he tried to hold on to the ball or something, and then it just came out of his hand and rolled off towards the bullpen or something.
Or he just didn't even throw, thinking the game was over, or something. I can't remember. Something strange, but
I think that last one was that he caught it and thought the game was over, picked it up and just didn't throw it. And you guys were rounding third on a hit and it like tied the game and then you hit the walk-off.
Yeah, that's what, something like that. I can't remember. It's all in the past. It's all in the past.
What is Alex box like when a walk-off happens down there? I bet that's loud.
Anxious to see what Founders Park is like on a walk-off.
Well, generally Founders Park is good for a couple of those each season, Coach. And your season begins next week. And I don't think anybody's hoping that you're going to need a walk-off to beat Sacred Heart, but at some point in time this year, you probably
hold on a minute now. You just don't talk like that, okay? I don't want to hear that kind of talk. Just look at the Sacred Heart right now. 5 seniors in their starting lineup. They have their entire starting lineup back and 2 starting pitchers, and they won their conference last year. So don't even go there, Jared. Jamie, you know better than that.
Yeah, you're right. I do. And that brings up such a wonderful point because everybody's got dudes in college baseball now. There's dudes everywhere you go. But you've got some dudes too, and we want to get it out of your mouth today as far as what these guys are looking like. I went back and did some math. I'm pretty good at math. A lot of people aren't, but I'm all right. I'm all right with it, Coach. You take last year's group of starting pitchers, or not starting pitchers, of pitchers, the guys who returned, and then you add Eli in, who was out last year, but came on as a freshman in 2023. Just guys who've put this uniform on here at South Carolina: Eskew, Marlock, Copper, Pitzer, Kimball, Beck, and McCoy and Eli Jersenbeck. That's 277 and a third innings that they've thrown in a Carolina uniform and 44 combined starts. What does that mean for your team?
Well, I told you the day I was hired at the press conference that this is not an empty cupboard that was left for me. Okay, I give all the credit to Mark Kingston and his staff for, there's some good players in this program. And conversely, when I took over at LSU, it was much more difficult rebuilding project than what I see here. Okay, what we have is a lot of good depth. Both with pitching and position players, really. Okay, and we've got some high end players like Ethan Petrie is a very high end player, an All-American caliber player. We've got some other players like Talmadge LaCroix and Evan Stone and Kennedy Jones and so forth. Besides the pitchers you mentioned on the position player side, so we went out and needed to fill some areas and try to make us a little bit stronger. Where we're probably lacking, Jamie, is that high end number one guy in the SEC that can match up against everybody else's number one. Okay, and maybe even number 2. But the depth that we have on our pitching staff, I think, is very good. I don't think we're going to run out like something that's like, I can't believe this guy's pitching in the SEC kind of attitude, and we can probably go about 10 or 12 deep like that. So we got a lot of 89 to 91 with good changeups, good sliders, pitchability guys, which, as I recall, Will notwithstanding, I recall that South Carolina's staffs, even when they won it all, were a lot like that, and if we can get the best out of those guys and just not get dominated by some Friday night starter, because he's throwing 98 miles an hour with a nasty slider and changeup, I think we're going to be competitive as can be. But the fact that we have that level of experience that you just talked about on our pitching staff is what gives me great hope and confidence that we can compete with anybody.
Does does that like build into what you guys are going to try and do, one, with the pitching staff? Like, are there going to be more, piggyback situations maybe where because we have so much experience, we're going to get, 2 times through the order and we're going to flip it through to another guy because you want to mix and match? But also, does it give you a sense on the offensive side, like, hey, we might not win a game 1 or 2 to nothing against these Friday night, Saturday guys, but we're going to go at these Friday guys and try and get them out early with our approach, as well as trying to get to the later bullpen guys so we can, score some more runs on these guys.
Well, let me answer the second part of that question first. Well, with regard to the hitting, you get the starters out of the game in the league now, and sometimes you're facing better pitching at the end of the game in the SEC. I mean, it's even since when you played, certainly since I came into the league, you used to face Friday night, you'd face a guy throwing 93 to 95. Friday night, you'd face a guy 91 to 93. Sunday, you'd be facing the pitchability guy 88 to 91. Now you knock a starter out of the game. They're bringing in guys throwing 96, 97 miles an hour at some of these schools, and they've just loaded up, and more guys are throwing hard. I don't want to say they're the same quality as a major league staff, but they've kind of mimicked the major league staffs. For some schools are putting their best arms in the bullpen. We don't really have a choice. We just don't have any of those really, really high end guys. We have a couple of hard throwers, like Brendan Sweeney is a junior college transfer from Berlin in Texas, where they won the national championship last year. And he's, I've seen him touch 97. I've seen him throw 95, 96. But coincidentally, when he was pitching in junior college, he didn't strike out a lot of batters. But I think it's because he really didn't have a great third pitch, and they used him as a starting pitcher, and he was just a pitch to contact kind of guy. But now if I use him late in the game, which is what my plan is, and let him just blow it out there, for an inning or two, you're going to see 95 to 97 with a really good changeup. And he's been hard on a cutter to have something to go away from the right-handed hitters and into the left-handed hitters. So, I don't know that he can maintain that over 6 or 7 innings, 5, 7 innings, but for an inning or two, it's a legit fastball, and it gives us a chance at the end of the game. Jake McCoy is a kid that also has touched, 95, 96, but he doesn't pitch there. And if we envision him as a starting pitcher, you're probably going to see a guy throwing 92 to 93 on a regular basis. But I'm still waiting for Jake to kind of take the next step to be that quality starting pitcher. Listen, what I've seen so far out of Jake is been pretty consistent in this sense. You're going to get 2, 3 good, really awesome innings, like SEC starter, pretty good starting pitcher in the SEC. But then when it starts to unravel, he hasn't yet shown the ability to take a step off the mound, take a deep breath, and then stop the bleeding. Let's get back in the zone. Let's make a big pitch and do that, which, all the great ones have that. I don't care who you are. I mean, Aaron Nola, who was probably the best pitcher I ever had, Alex Lang. I had a pitcher at Notre Dame by the name of Aaron Heilman. When I think back to the best pitchers I ever had, they had that. Nobody's perfect for the whole game, but the great pitchers had that ability to raise their game to another level when it started to hit the fan, and they were able to get out of that inning, minimize the damage, and then settle back in and start to dominate again. Jake hasn't done that yet, and that's keeping him from me anointing him as a starting pitcher yet. Jerzenbeck has the stuff to do it, but he has not pitched well since we've come back to school. And so he and Jake and a couple of other guys are really competing for the third starter job right now. And I'm gonna break some news to you because I like you so much, Jamie. We're gonna start Dylan Eskew in game 1, and we're gonna start Matthew Becker in game 2. And TBA right now, we'll see what happens this weekend in our inter-squad scrimmage games to see where we're going to do with games 3. And then, of course, we have game 4 and 5 in the middle of the week. So we're probably going to start 5 different, or I know we'll start 5 different guys, but legitimately give them a chance to be a starting pitcher and go out there and pitch up to 5 innings, maybe 6 if pitch counts are going good, and then kind of reevaluate it after that.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that. Certainly, Becker and Eskew, we had certainly gotten word that they have. I know Becker's been pitching really, really well, and he's been around a long time. Can you give us a little bit more on those guys and how you settled on SQ on Friday night and Becker going on Saturday?
Well, the games all count the same, as you know, and they're both going to be really big hype days because the first day is opening day. This will be my 40th opening day, and I can tell you that I am more nervous about opening day than I am coaching in a national championship game. It's just the unknown of starting a new season, and you have to play 2 games now in the fall. It's opposition. But before we didn't even get to do that. So it was really the unknown. And so, I just always like to pitch a veteran guy right out of the gate that can handle kind of all the extra stuff that's going on a day like opening day. And then, of course, the next day we're dedicating the field to Ray Tanner. So that's going to be a very exciting day as well. And Becker's the other guy that has the experience and so forth. Becker was our best pitcher in the fall, and this spring he hasn't been quite as sharp as he was in the fall, but he still is that guy that can pitch out of a jam. He's got that experience, got the curveball. Hey, you're going to be amazed when you see him pitch this spring how good his changeup is now. They told me last year he didn't even have a changeup. And Terry Rooney has done an unbelievable job with him developing that changeup. And so I just thought that those were the 2 right guys to Dylan Eskew, of course, was disappointed he didn't get drafted last year, came back, and he has been such a leader of our pitching staff, just his maturity, his work ethic, his just showing the way to all the younger kids. And I just kind of felt like he deserved the honor of starting the opening game as a 5th-year senior. And, I don't know if he's going to be the Friday night starter all year, but he's, this weekend, that first weekend he is, and we'll see how it goes from there. But he's not going to overpower the other team, but especially going up against a senior-laden starting lineup, I just wanted to have the equal of their experience out there on the mound. And he's got that ability to pitch out of jams as well. And he's going to throw a lot of strikes, and I want our defense to be on the balls of their feet, and ready, not worrying about, falling behind counts, because the first day everybody's just a little bit uptight, with it being the beginning of the season. I want the play to be more crisp. We're pumping a lot of strikes, and the fielders are on their toes and ready for the ball, and hopefully it'll be well played and a crisp game. Becker sometimes he likes to tease the coach and run 3-1 counts before he comes back and gets the guy, that kind of stuff. So, that's why I'm going to have him do game 2. I still love him, what I mean. But sometimes the innings last a little longer than I would prefer them to be. So we'll see what we do with game 3 and then the 2 midweek games. A lot will be determined this coming weekend in our inter squad scrimmages.
Man, y'all scrimmage so much. Is it fair to say that Talmadge LeCroy would probably be the starting catcher today?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Okay.
I would tell you this, Jamie, probably one of the biggest competitions on our team going right now is who's going to be the second catcher. So if I'm hoping that Talmadge can catch 2 games a weekend, and I'd like him to catch first 2 games. And then, you'd like to have somebody be able to catch on Sunday. And the competition between Ryan Bakes and Max Coffer is very intense. They both have their warts, don't get me wrong. But Coffer has come back and really swung the bat much better than he did in the fall. And Bakes always has had that potential, but he's probably caught a little bit better than Coffer has. And I thought Coffer was going to be a defensive specialist when we recruited him. I wouldn't call him a defensive specialist, but he has improved his hitting, or Bakes could be running away with the job. So again, we're not 100% sure what we're going to do there. But it is a good competition going, and we'll have 3 more scrimmage games before we determine what we'll do.
Let's talk about Petrie. We know about Petrie offensively. Apparently, maybe the folks at Baseball America don't, because he wasn't on any of the preseason All-American teams, but that's okay. That's good.
Petrie didn't care about that stuff, but think
He
that
does
sounds
not.
ridiculous myself.
If he's not an All-American, I'm not exactly sure what an All-American looks like, I guess. But so what is your plan with him? I know he's been working at first, and obviously we know he can play right field. Walk us through that. That I don't want to call it a conundrum, but you've got some options.
Yeah, it's not a conundrum. Petrie is such a team player. He'll go wherever I tell him to go and gladly do it for whatever's best for the team. It's very rare when your best player is such a team-oriented guy. There's not an ounce of prima donna in him. He reminds me an awful lot of Dylan Cruz, who was a kid I coached my freshman year at LSU and became the second pick in the draft. And, you know, obviously those kind of players have a great deal of self-confidence, but they don't act like it. You know, they're team-oriented guys, and when they're the hardest working guys you have on your team, it sets a tone for the rest of the guys. So I'd say Petrie is a tremendous leader besides having great talent. So our starting third baseman is a kid named KJ Scobie, and KJ, being a rookie as he is, sometimes doesn't make the best judgments. So he decided to go out and play basketball a couple of weeks ago and rolled his ankle. And we weren't sure if it was a broken foot or just a sprained ankle, whatever. So he was out for a week. Fortunately, it was not broken, so he's not out 2 months. He was just out about a week or 10 days or so. So but for an entire day, I didn't know if his foot was broken. And so we started to go to plan B. What are we going to do if Scobie's out for 2 months? So I put Petrie over at third base and let him play there for like a whole week. And I can't tell you how good he looked over there. Like, he really looked good. He's a much more agile, big guy than you think he is. He moved really well and made the plays. But when Scobie, we found out that he didn't have a broken foot, I let Petrie play a whole week over at third, but then we moved him back over to first base. But I think that experience actually helped him over at first base now. You know, first base is a much easier position to play, but he brought a lot of that agility that he'd been working on to, you know, at the hot corner over at third and now over at first base. Plus, we're doing some things with him to help him with his first base play around the bag and so forth. So I think he's going to be a really good first baseman. But I also think he's a really decent right fielder. I went up to Cape Cod during the summer, and I saw him play a couple of times, the All-Star game and then in another game. And in the All-Star game, there was a sinking line drive into right center field. He got a good jump on the ball and came running in kind of on a 45-degree angle towards center field and made like a knee-high catch on the run and then threw the ball in to try to double the guy off at first base on the run. And I thought to myself, man, this kid's got some athleticism to him. And I hope the pro scouts were watching that play, you know, because he's not I wouldn't call him a fleet-footed runner, but he gets good jumps in the outfield. And if he gets to it, he's going to catch it. And he handles himself pretty well in the infield on the corners too. So the reason why it's important to be able to have those options with him is because we do have some other options in right field and some other positions, you know. But opening day, I'm pretty certain he'll be at first base, but you may see him play first base the first 2 days and then right field the final day. Haven't finally decided on that type of stuff yet, but we're getting close to. I won't give you all my secrets today.
Well, so if
he needs you a little bit, right?
That's right. I know. But if he plays right, who plays first? wait, Coach. We got to get in the lineup here.
Possibly Will Tippett.
Yeah.
So Will had a great fall. He led our team in hitting, and when I came here, I thought Will would be like super sub, you know, that he could play anywhere and including the outfield if necessary. And I know he's got some sneaky power. He just swings and misses, you know, a little bit too much. But this fall, he didn't swing and miss that much. He really had a good fall practice, led our team in hitting. I started to see Will as an everyday guy. But since we've been back in January, he's really struggled. And not only at the plate, but even at second base, he made like errors in three consecutive games at second base. So I don't know. I don't know if he's just in a rut or what's going on with him, but he's kind of played himself out of a starting job at second base. I hate to say that. And we're getting Nolan Naraki back now this week. Actually, he DH'd in 3 consecutive games, hit a home run in the last 2 games. And he's starting to run full speed. He actually made turns on bases yesterday, and he actually slid. So that was like a big, hurdle to get over. So this weekend, I'm gonna play him at second base for the first time, and he'll got 3 games at second base. And he's just a really physical guy. And I mentioned he had 2 home runs in the last 2 days. It kind of, if he can really do it, it really adds another bullet into our lineup that I think would really give us a good full lineup. We wouldn't have to count on Scobie so much for offense and just take whatever we get out offensively out of him as kind of, in Louisiana, we called it lagniappe, something a little extra, and icing on the cake, I guess, would be more of the lay term for it. Scobie is an outstanding defensive third baseman, and he's got tremendous poise and composure. And like yesterday, left-handed hitter was up, and we had a shift on him, and he was playing kind of in the 5-hole, and the left-handed hitter smoked one like right at him. And well, you know how awkward that is for a third baseman to get a ball hit at him by a left-handed batter. And a lot of times, the third baseman's it's almost like they're shocked, and they get real tense and misplay the ball, and it becomes a double or whatever. And Scobie just, like it was nothing, just fielded the ball, fired it over to first base. I've had 2 seasons in my coaching career that were we had good teams, but they were ruined because we did not have a third baseman. And that experience, those 2 experiences for me have made me understand how important it is to have a really good defensive third baseman. They don't get that many chances, and it seems when they get them and they don't make them, it just affects the entire outcome of the game. Pitcher makes a good pitch and you don't make the play for him, and then all hell breaks loose, so to speak. So you don't notice you don't have a third baseman until you don't have one. And then, well, why can't we find a guy to play third? So Scobie really is. I mean, I mentioned Petrie, but Scobie really is the very best third baseman that we have, and I think he's outstanding. So, but I'm going to hit him low in the order. I think he's going to hit, and he's got some pop, but it's also going to be a freshman thing. It's going to take him some time. Can't expect him to go out and hit 350 as a freshman, but in time he's going to be a really good all-around player. So anyway, when we get Naraki back, I'm still going to be looking for ways to get Will Tippett into the lineup or get him playing time. So occasionally I may play him at first base and play Petrie in the outfield, at least for a while until Bo Hollins comes along. And let me tell you, Bo is an elite defensive first baseman, left-handed, tall, very agile, good instincts over there. He stretches, and he's just a really good first baseman. What they look like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This fall, the first half of the fall, he did not hit well at all. He started out like 1 for 32 in the inter squad scrimmages, and then the second half of the fall, he really got it going. Not to the point where I thought he'd move into the starting first baseman job, but all of a sudden I started seeing the potential and the hope that eventually he could be the regular first baseman. And then we started this spring, and his first couple of games he swung the bat really well, and then he's got a little bit of a wrist issue, so he hasn't been able to hit for 2 weeks. So he's been playing defense, but not being able to hit, and so it's kind of just kind of impeded his progress a little bit. But I'm not at all unhopeful that he's going to be okay as time goes on. In fact, he may hit again this week, and we're not sure yet. There's no reason to push it along. But I think Bo's one of those guys that if I wanted to, Petrie's doing a good job at first, but if I want to put an elite first baseman in, plus just get Hollins some time, to kind of get used to the bright lights and the speed of the game. He'd be a good defensive replacement at first. I could put Petrie back in right field late in the game if I didn't really want to take him out of the game. But we won't be sacrificing anything defensively at first base if we did that. And who knows, over the course of time, he just might continue to evolve and end up being the everyday guy before the year is over and leave Petrie in the outfield. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's you've got a bunch of options, which is awesome. It's not always the case, as you well know, in the SEC especially. It's good to have them. I know we got to get you out here, Coach. It's 11:30. Kent said 11:30. You got to get him out. I think you got another meeting or something here in just a minute. But you start next week. We'll leave it at this. As you mentioned, it is a huge weekend. There's going to be hundreds of former players in town to honor Coach Tanner on that Saturday. It will be a pretty emotional time for him. And you, as the head coach now, will get the kind of the full scope of this thing, right? Being out there actually coaching on the field in a real game and having to, the history of this program out there with Coach Tanner. That's got to be something you're really looking forward to, in addition to just seeing your guys play.
Jamie, yeah, you're right. The excitement of starting a new season. I've been off for 3 years. I took a little sabbatical leave, and now I'm back doing it. The excitement of, a new season and everything that can transpire. But then in addition to that, I know Ray well, not as well as Will does. He worked with him every day, but Ray has a really major flaw in his character. He is way too humble. I mean, he accomplished so many great things, and he gets embarrassed when people make a big deal out of him, and it makes me mad at him. I'm having Karen and I are having dinner with his Karen and him tonight, and I'm going to remind him, that he needs to just embrace it, and he's impacted a lot of lives in his life, his career, and he needs to accept the praise, and he needs to accept the glory of it all. How many people go through a life making that kind of impact on so many people that they'd want to name a facility after you? I mean, I think it's just awesome. And I'm very proud to be the baseball coach here and take the reins, and hopefully we can restore the glory to the point that it was at one point here. This program has never really been bad. I mean, it's been a very respected program. Like I wasn't in South Carolina, so if you knew the way the program was perceived by others, you would always know that it was always perceived in a very positive way, and I don't think the program is in the doldrums. I just think we're used to this program being at the top of the heap, and competing for national championships, and we just haven't been to Omaha in 12 years. So it's time for us to get back and get back into the commentary when you're talking about the top teams in the country. And listen, that this year nobody's picking us at the top. Okay, it's unbelievable. I think I saw somewhere somebody picked us 15th out of 16 teams.
Yeah,
and a part of that hurts, to hear that. Okay, on the other hand, to me, it's a little bit laughable too, because I see these kids every day. I know the league is tough. I've been in it for a long time, and I know it continues to get better. But we're not going to be the 15th best team in this league. I can assure you of that. We're going to go out there and we're going to compete hard. And I'm not putting any limitations or restrictions on what we can accomplish. Quite frankly, I'll be disappointed if we're not in Omaha, because that's the goal every year. And if we can just get these kids to believe that they can accomplish anything they put their mind to it, and they're willing to pay the price for that success, and they go out and do it. If they, every season comes down to, what do you do in the 1-run games? What do you do in the 2-run games? And that takes talent, but it takes composure, poise, and confidence as well. And we got to get in the habit of winning close games. And then your confidence continues to grow, and hey, anything's possible. And that's the way I look at it. So I'm excited to be the coach of the Gamecocks. I'm excited to being Ray's shadow a little bit, and I'm used to that type of thing. When I went to LSU, I said, "Hey, look, I don't hold any illusions of becoming the best coach in the history of LSU baseball. I just want to be the second best. And I'd be happy to be the second best in the history of South Carolina baseball too, because that would be quite an accomplishment. Because you got Bobby Richardson and June Raines, and if I end up being the fourth best, I'll be okay with that as long as we get back to Omaha. But nobody's going to pass Ray Tanner with what he accomplished."
Well, you just said a lot of stuff that's music to the ears of a lot of Carolina fans, and they have proven their loyalty. Season tickets are sold out this year at Founders Park, and I know you're looking forward to seeing 82-42 day in and day out when things start next Friday. We're always very, 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 very thankful for your time. I can't wait to be up there next weekend. Matter of fact, I might see you Saturday. I'm coming up Friday for a thing with Coach Holbrook, his foundation. And I told Monty Saturday morning I might bring the girls by the ballpark and see if I can't catch y'all for a few minutes. So if you're around, I'd love to see you.
Always welcome, Jamie. Hey, Will, it's good to see you. I like seeing you instead of on the mound pitching against my team. I can promise you that. Like that a lot better.
It's good to see you. You gave me cold chills, and let me tell you, Gamecock Nation is pumped to have you as our head coach, and we're excited for what you're bringing and excited for what's to come.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thank you, Coach. Enjoy a good Italian dinner tonight.
Yeah, we're going to find something, I'm sure.
See you, man. Thank you.
Guys.
There you go. Paul Mainieri, the head baseball coach of your game.
We got started in 1979. Because we're a manufacturer, we're able to control our costs. That's why we like to manufacture as much of the product as we can, because in our factory stores we can offer a competitive edge over other people around the country. When people come into one of our Palm Casuals, it's like they're buying their car at Detroit. They're going right to the factory and buying their car.
30-day money-back guarantee. That's a big deal with us. I mean, we give 30 days to do anything. I mean, return it, change it, get a different color, get your money back.
When you pull into a store and it says Palm Casual, you know you're at a factory store.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
What Right to Bear is we're an association of members across the entire country, and what we offer is we offer legal defense in the event of a self-defense case.
Nice.
So it's not insurance. So we offer an attorney in the event that one of our members might have some type of an accident. ProtectWithBear.com. We've got all of our social media accounts on the bottom of our website. We've got blogs, articles, detailed description of all of the coverages in depth, and you know, we'd love to have you come check us out and ultimately get the protection you need.